All right. Good morning, everyone. Happy almost end of the week, and we have a great 3-day weekend to look forward to. I want to welcome you guys to the CCS monthly webinar. My name is Terrance Watkins. I am the Executive Director of Housing and Medical Respite Services. And today I want to present to you on Give Me Shelter, addressing homelessness in our communities. All right, it worked. Again, my name is Terrance, and there are some other individuals that I absolutely wanted to highlight for this presentation. There's Jody White. She's the Regional Director for all of the DV services throughout Southern Arizona, and she works out of our Yuma office. And then there's Randa Mejia, who is the Program Administrator for the Medical Respite Casa de Respiro program. So, Catholic Community Services is dedicated to ensuring all individuals have a safe place to live and lay their head at night. Homeless, and you don't need charts to see, homelessness is rising at alarming rates throughout the country. And CCS wants to ensure that we're doing everything we can to meet this need head on. CCS operates shelter services throughout Southern Arizona. And in today's presentation, I wanted to highlight the amazing services offered to the most vulnerable members of our community. So today, the programs that we're going to be covering are our domestic violence shelters, the medical respite facility, our emergency shelters, and the transitional housing programs that we have going on. All right, so we'll start with DV. CCS has been providing DV services for individuals experiencing or fleeing from domestic violence since 1983. We currently operate shelters in Yuma, Arizona, where we have the Safe House. We have Forgash House in Sierra Vista, Arizona. And in Douglas, Arizona, we have the House of Hope. In addition to these shelter services, the DV team also provides mobile and community-based services. This was something that I was excited to hear about. I had no idea, but Jody was telling me about this, that not every person who is seeking assistance for domestic violence needs a place to go to. Some of them have their own place. If they needed to get a restraining order, or they just separated and they need resources, they're able to, in her example, she said, we can meet them at McDonald's and help them file for a restraining order. But they also are able to provide resources like clothing, food, help connect them to eviction prevention programs, or any other resources that they might need in order to be able to successfully move forward from where they're at. Again, those were services that I didn't realize that were happening, and I thought they were absolutely amazing. But in addition to just a place for them, in addition to just a safe place for them to lay their head, all individuals entering CCS's DV programs receive legal advocacy, victim advocacy, prevention and intervention training and support, education on their rights and how to navigate the criminal justice system. And they all receive wraparound support services. You'll hear wraparound support services a lot throughout this presentation, and we will go into a little bit detail at the end. So as I was doing this presentation, I was looking at the date and I was like, hey, it's almost 1 year to the date that we opened up the Casa de Respiro facility. Its official opening date was June 3rd. So next Tuesday will be the 1 year anniversary. Casa de Respiro is Southern Arizona's first medical respite shelter. In the last year, they have prevented 122 individuals from being discharged to the street from local area hospitals with severe medical conditions. And out of those 122, approximately 96 have been discharged to a housed situation. I say housed with air quotes because they may have gone on to transitional housing. They may have been able to reconnect and reunify with family members. So I would love to say, yes, they all got their own apartment or homes. But no, the goal is to make sure that when they come in, we're able to help them, one, keep their wounds clean, maintain their medical care. But we also don't want to just kick them right back out to the streets. Uh, Through a contract with El Rio, the program participants are able to receive medical care on the same campus, preventing challenges associated with them trying to get to their doctor's appointments, wound cleaning, follow-up appointments. They're able to literally walk out of the front door and walk right into El Rio. This also prevents reinfection or worsening of admitting conditions, thus reducing recidivism rates of individuals returning to the hospital. I'm going off script for a little bit. A couple weeks ago, I had the pleasure of serving on a panel at Primavera, and the guest speaker told.
And communicating at work.
I'm sorry, what was that? Okay. The guest speaker had talked about when she was homeless and she would go to the hospital and they would discharge her back to the street, and she kept having wounds that kept reopening and getting reinfected, and she had made a plea for the community to do something about it. So it was a really exciting moment when I was able to let her know that we had indeed opened up the medical respite facility, and individuals who are getting out of the hospital no longer have to experience that. So all program participants, when they come in, they're assigned to a health navigator. This is the person that is going to be their right-hand man or woman that will help them in the creation and execution of their assessment and their individualized service plan, and who provides most of their wraparound case management services. While they're there, participants can participate in peer support, life skills, and counseling groups. And then they're also encouraged to participate in social engagement activities, thus creating a sense of community. I have a saying that it sounds really good on paper. And when we were planning it, we're like, yeah, that's going to be awesome. But to be able to walk into the facility and see that there actually was that sense of community and everyone was getting along and interacting, it was a really good moment for me. The dedicated staff at Casa de Respiro work with all residents to help them resolve their homelessness and address the issues that led to them becoming homeless in the first place. So on February 1st, CCS had the distinct blessing of adding Good Neighbor Alliance shelter to its family of services. Good Neighbor Alliance has a long history of serving people in Cochise County. It's one of only 2 shelters, but they, in addition to just the shelter services, they are kind of like the go-to for anything to do with homelessness or housing stability. They provide rapid rehousing. They do outreach to all of the cities and towns throughout Cochise County. The main hub operates a 17-bed shelter in Sierra Vista that caters to males, females, and families. But in addition to just providing those shelter services, GNA has served as the Access Project for Assistance in Transition from Homelessness, or PATH. They've been the PATH provider in Cochise County for the last 15 years. Since 2010, they've covered the 6,219 square miles of Cochise County to locate all individuals experiencing homelessness, connecting them with resources and services, and ensuring they are added to all available wait lists. When I say that they are covering all of those square miles, I mean it. They don't just go through washes and find people on the street corner. They have a 4x truck, and they take that to cover all of the Bureau of Land Management, open desert, all through the county. They're walking into abandoned houses that are full of people. They are really committed to what they do. So they've also administered multiple grants, which have afforded them of the ability to meet the needs of the community, such as hotel vouchers, eviction prevention, and housing voucher programs for families starting over. The next program that I want to talk about is transitional housing. As the number of individuals experiencing homelessness continues to climb, CCS decided to pursue alternative options to address this homelessness. CCS currently operates 6 transitional housing programs throughout Southern Arizona, all designed for serving homeless families. Participants are able to remain in the program for up to 12 months, and this gives CCS housing staff the time that they need to help them address their social determinants of health. By social determinants of health, I mean, are they seeing their doctor? Are they seeing behavioral health services? Do they have a job? Do they have a GED? Do they need vocational training? What other areas do they need help in order for them to be stable in not just housing, but be stable in life? So the reason why I called it alternative housing is it was kind of a break from HUD's Housing First, where in this program, you are required to participate and you need to actively engage. We have a short period of time and a whole lot of stuff to do, so we do require that the participants actively engage in the services. Some of their program requirements include they have to participate in financial literacy groups, attend monthly budgeting sessions, engage their housing specialists. I can't stress that enough. They must engage. And so I put 1 to 4 times monthly because when they first come in, they might need to meet with their housing specialist 2-3 times a week. But at the end, it might just be quick check-ins with them because everything's been addressed. But they have to attend all scheduled vocational and employment-related appointments. The participants are required to save 10% of their adjusted net income, and they also have to pay 10% of their adjusted net income toward debts identified on their service plan. So we all know that there's a big difference between the check that I get and what is actually left over after I pay my bills and cell phone and gas and car insurance. The 10% requirement is based on what is left after all of your basic living requirements are covered. So it might not be $300, it might only be $100, but at least they saved $10 of that $100 and they paid $10 towards the debt. Now, rent for all of our apartments, they're capped at HUD's fair market rate, or FMR. All of the residents receive a subsidy from the Bezos Family Foundation, which reduces the cost of their apartment. In Tucson, which is our highest rent rate market, a 2-bedroom apartment with all utilities costs the participants $594 a month. It's affordable. And that also gives them the opportunity to save money while they're in the program and pay down their debts. The reason why we have those requirements, they're pretty strategic, is when people leave, we want them to have we want them to have money in their savings account. That might help safeguard against them returning to homelessness because the car broke down and they lost it. Now they have the money to fix it so they don't lose the job. So it just creates a bit of a safety net for them. And we want them to have improved credit. Having a better credit rating will help them get lower rates on any future credit cards, or if they need to buy a new car, they could get a better interest rate. And also, the ultimate goal would be for them to be able to leave our program and move into home ownership. So we want to help them qualify for down payment assistance programs. and their housing specialists will help them navigate through that process as well. All right. So regardless of whatever program the individual participates in, whether it's DV, medical respite, good neighbor, or any of the transitional housing, they will receive the same level of services designed to achieve the same goal. We want to end their homelessness. I totally understand that that is a super high bar. Some of the individuals that come into our programs have been homeless for decades. And we might not be able to fully successfully end their homelessness. But if we shoot for the stars and we don't quite make it, at least we landed on the clouds and they're in a much better place than they were when they entered our programs. In an effort to accomplish these objectives, all program participants receive a comprehensive assessment. When they come in, we want to make sure that we are able to identify any area of their life that they would like to work on. Based on the areas identified in the assessment, we help them create an individualized service plan. The participant selects which goals they want to work on, and we put the service plan. That is our roadmap. That is how we are going to help them achieve these goals. We provide case management services, peer support services, skills training, vocational and educational training, counseling. That's optional. We can't force anyone to do counseling, but that is a service that is open to all of them. Medical and behavioral health coordination. So while we might not be the doctor, we will absolutely help you get connected to your doctor. If you don't have a PCP, we'll help you get enrolled with one. We'll help you get to your appointments. It's a whole person health. So for me, stability in housing is stability in life. That is our goal that we strive to work on, as well as any other services that they might need to accomplish their goals. All right. So what current challenges do we have in our programs? I'm trying to watch how I say things these days regarding this subject, but continual and unpredictable changes made by the administration make planning really, really, really difficult. We really don't know from day to day what's going to happen, what new plan is going to roll out. So with having such an unsteady foundation, it makes it difficult to really anticipate the availability of existing funds, let alone plan for any future program or funding. But at CCS, we continue to monitor all policy developments on the local, federal, state level. We coordinate with other local agencies to address policy and funding changes. We work with local, state, and federal representatives to advocate for continued funding. I would have to say the biggest thing that we do is, sorry for using the term, we stay frosty. We stay ready. So we're watching it and we're like, wait, nope, got to move over this way. Nope, got to move over this way. And so we want to make sure that we are making our adjustments to remain in compliance with whatever new rules and policies come out, and stay in front of the funding, if you will. So how can you help? We will continue to monitor the local policies as they come out. And there are some times when we might need your help, we might need your voice. For instance, there was a bill, which luckily just got vetoed by the governor, but it would have made it a requirement for any hotel that houses homeless people to put that on their website, to put that on their doors, saying that we house homeless people here. Obviously, no hotel was going to do that. So it would have essentially shut out a big population of individuals that needed housing, and there was funding to put them in. We just wouldn't have been able to find a place for it. For instance, in Graham and Greenlee County, the only shelter service is one where an agency can put people into a motel when it's snowing or 100 degrees outside. Uh, that program would have been all but obliterated. So, uh, again, luckily the governor vetoed it. But as we start seeing policy requests that come out, we can send it out to all of our providers and board members and staff and say, hey, we need your voice. Send an email, make a phone call to your local representative, voice your opinion. That would be a really great help with policy advocacy. Volunteer opportunities, the housing programs always need volunteers. Whether you are wanting to come in and do an arts and crafts group at the medical respite facility, at Good Neighbor Alliance, they have probably the strongest volunteer force I've ever seen, where somebody from the community comes in every night and makes dinner for everyone in the shelter. Those are, especially in these budget sensitive times, volunteers is kind of like the greatest gift that we can get. And donations. Now, when we have people that come in our transitional housing, we have some furniture for them. A lot of people don't have a lot, and if they don't, we would like to be able to provide them with furniture, cleaning supplies, bedding, cookware, kitchen supplies. When they leave our programs and go into their own apartments, they don't. We want them to be able to take that with them and help give them a move-in startup kit. That would be absolutely amazing. Now, since storage comes at a premium, and I don't want to be too forward, it would be better if it was just a cash donation, which could be restricted to furniture donation, cooking supplies, cleaning supplies. That would make it a lot easier for us to be able to go and get the stuff for the individuals as they need it, as opposed to trying to warehouse it all and keep it all inventoried. Whew. All right. Questions?
This is Laura. I have a question. How does the person in need initially find us? Is it through um, Googling? Is it police? Um, do we have a relationship with the sheriff's department?
So there's a lot of different programs. And I think let me give me a quick second. I believe that all of them are accessible through Unite Us. But the police absolutely do know where the DV shelters are. They do help with referrals for those. Word of mouth. The DV shelter has flyers. Good Neighbor Alliance has been really like the backbone of homelessness in Cochise County for a long time. But they have flyers. The police know about them. All of the outreach workers know about them. As far as medical respite, individuals who qualify for that, Randa and her team, they go out and meet with all of the hospitals, all of the rehabs and the BIPs and the BARFs, to understand uh, the the program availability, eligibility, and help get those individuals admitted. And transitional housing, uh, again, is through Unite Us, Googling us, and a lot of word of mouth.
Do we have a relationship with Salvation Army since they're the most popular to help this type of people?
We absolutely do have a relationship with Salvation Army. In fact, next week, CCS and GNA will be, and Forgash House will be joining the Salvation Army in Sierra Vista, Arizona, because we are doing a resource fair there. So we work with Salvation Army and St. Vincent de Paul, all of the bigger ones, as well as the smaller entities as well. So in Tucson, we work with Gospel Rescue Mission, with La Frontera and Cope and Kodak and Old Pueblo Community Services as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. There's a question on the chat. Terrance?
Yes, ma'am. Let me see if I can navigate to the chat without breaking this.
So if we're looking at cost right now, it's becoming unaffordable for so many individuals. Do you see the landscape changing at all to be able to increase access to more people and bring more affordable housing?
So that is absolutely a great question. The rising cost is probably the leading cause of the seniors that are becoming homeless. Seniors is one of the highest growing populations of the homeless community, and it's because of the rising cost. I serve on a lot of different committees and boards, all of which are looking for how do we fix this? How do we resolve this? So some of the ideas that we're currently working on is tiny home communities, where we can afford to put them up for fairly cheap. The rent doesn't have to be as high. They're originally government funded, and we're right now the last piece of the puzzle is how do you actually fund the ongoing payments for those individuals who are living in those programs. As I said before, there's a lot of changes coming out of this new administration. Some I think are unwittingly going to be part of the solution, that we will be able to have more flexibility in the way that certain HUD funding is spent. And fingers crossed, that's kind of like the last puzzle, the piece of the puzzle, to where we can afford to throw up communities of tiny homes that offer affordable rent, and individuals can then live in there. Some of the new policies are not so great, like capping capping rental assistance to 2 years for all able-bodied individuals. So if I'm a senior and my only thing is that I'm just on Social Security and I don't make enough to afford the rent, that then some of these new changes are not great for them as well.
This is Anna. I have a question. Can you hear me?
Hi, Anna.
Hola. Okay, so what sort of employment services does this program have? What sort of job development? Who are you partnering with in the community to get jobs for people? Because right now with the refugee program, we're working it hard. We're, obviously working on their resumes and so forth. But what is the program doing about employment services and job development for these individuals that are trying to get on their feet?
We are doing the same exact thing you are doing, Anna. But in truth, I don't think we're doing as much resume writing as you guys are. We are referring them out to Arizona at Work, Pima County One Stop, Beacon, any of the other companies that actually like specialize in employment services.
Cool. Thank you.
I see Lydia and Patsy have their hands up.
Well, I have a question. What if, because I get a lot of calls, people trying to donate their furniture. Who do I refer them to? Because I've been referring them to St. Mark's. Whose number can I give so you guys can get the furniture?
You can give them George Rushing's number. No, I'm kidding. I will absolutely put into the chat a number that they should be able to call in order to coordinate a donation.
Okay, thank you.
You got it. And Lydia?
Yes.
I'm sorry, did you have your hand up?
No,
I think it's Patsy.
It's
Patsy this time.
Good morning, Terrance. It's Patsy.
Good morning.
Yesterday, I manned an information table over at the Senior Expo at the Udall Recreation Center.
Okay.
It also turned out to be a networking event for many of the agencies that were there, or we made it a networking event in addition to providing the information. We were a very popular table with many of the departments from the city of Tucson. And I think there were a couple of other nonprofits, and everybody's in the same boat trying to find resources to help them because they are coming under budget shortfalls. My disadvantage was I had no written material to share with them, or even your business cards or someone's business cards that if they had specific questions, because I will give general information, but I don't do specifics because I am not familiar and do not want to misinform. So do you think in the future we could get something like that? Just because I see us all working collaboratively in the state and the city. And so that would have been really helpful. I did tell people call the main number of Catholic Community Services and ask for Terrance Watkins. So if all of a sudden you start getting a lot of calls, let's pretend it wasn't me.
It's okay. My phone never stops ringing, so I wouldn't know if the volume went up or not. So I met with Tim Cromer, our Executive Director of Marketing, last week. I don't know, things are starting to blur together, but I think it was last week.
Last
And
week sounds right.
We have a lot of all of those all of those documents that you're asking for and the promotional stuff. We have that coming out.
Okay, excellent. And I just want to say that July 19th, I am having a large convocation at the Pastoral Center. It's open diocese-wide, and I usually get close to 200 people from everywhere, Yuma and Sierra Vista. It's not limited to the Tucson area. So if I can get that kind of information, people take this back to their parishes, and many of these individuals are also volunteers in their communities, in different other organizations besides church. So the more information I have to put out that individuals can take back with them to their parishes or home communities, the better. Just my commercial there.
No worries. We were actually nerding out on our meeting to figure out what kind of brochures we wanted. And the plan, especially for transitional housing, is trifold, and the last page would be perforated, and the front side would be if somebody was interested in applying for the program, and the back side would be if they were interested in volunteering or donating. So it was all of it together in one pretty little form, one pretty little packet.
Perfect. And trifolds are what works the best when quickly giving the information, because folks usually will take it home and that's where they start looking at it. So the more info, the better.
Yes, ma'am. Patsy, do you have the brochures from Casa de Respiro?
No.
Okay.
Terrance, I think a good thing would be for Tim to work closely with Patsy and our staff to make sure that, Patsy, you have all the information that you need for this upcoming event. I think that would be fantastic. That way we don't have to use our neighbors' materials like we did last year, right? But I think that would be fantastic. It is an incredible event, Terrance, and for all of you, if you have not attended, it's really fantastic. And Patsy, I don't know if you'll need a volunteer again this year to run that table, but let me know. I'll happy to do that again this year.
Okay.
But Tim, do you mind connecting with Patsy on that issue? That would be wonderful.
Yeah, we'll get together. Yeah, shoot me an email, Patsy, and we'll schedule a meeting to figure out what it is what you have now and what you need for this convocation.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Most updated information would be greatly appreciated. I do have to say I did know enough about Respite that I could answer some questions, and I did get some email addresses that I told individuals I would electronically introduce them to Randa over at Casa Respiro. And so that tends to work out a lot with me when I'm working with the community.
Thank you, Patsy. Terrance, another question that came up, as we know, there's a high percentage of individuals who are homeless that used to be in the foster care system. So when our youth are aging out of the foster care system, most end up homeless, right? And there's statistics to support that. Are there any efforts underway now under CCS that is currently addressing that particular issue? And if not, is that something in your plan?
That is in the plan. So I have a really cool roadmap to be able to address that and dealing with transition age youth. But again, it's the funding. Some of the funding looks like it's going to be awesome, some not so much. Not for nothing. I'm transparent, Terrance. I'll tell you what my hope and plan is. We want to be able to do transitional housing for individuals as well as so seniors, transitional youth, transition age youth, veterans, and really just singles. But for the transition age youth in particular, we want to be able to include good vocational training. And one of the comments, that we'll call it that, yeah, one of the comments is that this new administration wants to start pumping money into vocational training. I could go on a really long tangent about America's crumbling infrastructure and how for generations we've all pumped our kids into college and no one knows how to be an electrician or do a foundation anymore. But I'll spare you the long version of it. But yes, we do have a plan in place, and it's just waiting to see which way the funding goes and which way the wind blows, so we can see if we can make it viable or not.
Thank you so much. And I think everyone heard, the amazing work that's being done. And this is something that has been very intentional. Terrance, we started this vision over a year and a half ago now, right? Time flies. But one of the things we quickly identified was the need for Catholic Community Services to continue to invest and grow the continuum of care for housing for our homeless individuals in all the communities that we serve. And with that goal in mind, Terrance joined us and has done a phenomenal job. One of the things that really stand out that we really want to make sure that we share with you, and Terrance, you touched on this too, is really addressing all the needs and all the needs that impact the lives of the individuals that we serve. So we're not only addressing the housing issue, we recognize it's a systems issue, and we want to make sure that we're providing all those additional supports, behavioral health supports. And we recognize that we need them to get the support for housing as well as employment, counseling, and so forth. So I think that you and your team are doing a phenomenal job looking at best practices and making sure that you're providing that full wraparound care.
Thank you, ma'am. Sam, I see you got your hand up.
Yes, good morning. How are you?
Well, and yourself?
Good. So, talking in regards to individuals, how about what are we doing for those with families? So let's say you have a single father who has a child or a mother who has a child and are on the verge of homelessness or are homeless.
So that is awesome, because the transitional housing that we have really in Tucson, it was designed especially for them. The way, watching my words again, the way the system was designed is that individuals who are you've had the hardest time being homeless. So while you've been homeless for a long time, while you were homeless, you've been assaulted, you've been to jail, you've been in and out of the hospital. Police have told you to move along. Once you started getting enough of these things, of these negative consequences to being homeless, then you would move up the wait list and hopefully move into housing. So when I said during the presentation that we took an alternative look, what if we can help that family? They're on the verge of eviction. They're holding on by their fingernails. Um, they're barely making minimum wage, and even at that, they're only getting part-time hours, and they just need help. That is what our transitional housing is for. That is the perfect candidate for our transitional housing. We want to bring them in. That's why I said we want to address all of their vocational. Do you not have a GED? Is that the reason why you can't? Great, let's get you enrolled in GED classes. If you need some kind of vocational training, let's do your FAFSA. Slowing down, watching my mouth. If there are issues on a federal level with you being able to submit your FAFSA, then great. Gap Ministries has a whole bunch of certification programs that are free that we can get you into. If it's just your food handler's card, I'll beg Elena and say, hey, can I buy a $40 food handler's card for this person so we can get them a job? And again, they have lower rent. We want them to be able to save money. We want them to be able to pay down some of their debts. So that way we stabilized them as a family unit and they're able to move back out into independent housing safely and stably.
Thank you. And also, how about, domestic violence seems to be geared towards more female, but how about males who are experiencing a domestic violence?
They are not
situation?
excluded, sir. They are included. As Jody told me, it would be illegal for us to screen against them and discriminate against them for services. So yes, we absolutely can take them in our DV shelters as well.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. So it says, do not remove Bradbury. I guess that's George.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I can get that removed. It says do not remove.
Morning, George.
Good morning. Hey, thank you, Terrance, and all of your team for the hard work that you're doing on this issue, especially in light of the changing dynamics. I really, I think for a long time we've had a system where the problems were solved by kind of subsidizing the cost of housing. And so basically that really just, I'm not sure that it really fixes the problem. We're subsidizing the demand. And I don't think that subsidy is going to be around much longer.
Not the long-term one. I don't either.
Yeah. So, I love all the ideas of the, bridge building with other organizations that provide housing, advocating for changes in zoning codes to permit smaller lots. Who can we partner with that will build affordable housing in the hopes that in the future they'll get a subsidy now, an incentive to build that, and down the line sometime it's going to come back to them. It's an investment for them. I think we just need to think differently now, and building bridges, and I just don't see that subsidy for housing is going to be available. We just need more housing. How do we get more housing? How do we have people living together with people? I forget the name of the organization, but you mentioned how so many of our seniors are being priced out of private equity purchased rental facilities. How do we connect the seniors to other seniors who actually have an extra bedroom, that it would help them? Those organizations exist, and how are we going to build those bridges and work with the others in our community that are addressing the same need?
That is absolutely correct. The shared housing concept has been one that was slow to take off, mainly in Tucson, for reasons I'll call it of liability. If we refer someone to come live at your home and then something goes bad, like how does that look back on the community who referred that person? Mm-hmm. But that being said, nothing is insurmountable. There have been a lot of shared housing programs that have worked, or even having two people live in one house, and neither one of them are the owner. They're both just residents. A 3-bedroom house, 3 people, and you can provide support services. There are ways to break up their subsidy to where, let's just for round sake, if the rent is $1,500, there's 3 people there, everyone's rent is $500 a month. That's a lot cheaper than trying to put everybody into a $1,000 a month apartment. So there's a lot of work being done, state, local level regarding that. I believe the official report from the state of Arizona said that our housing inventory in 2023, we were short 240,000 houses. That is how many more houses needed to be built in order for us to not be at a deficit. In 2023, there was a lot of motivation. State legislature put a lot of money towards it. The next year, not so much, because then the state was in a deficit. And this year, everyone's still holding their breath, crossing their fingers to see what it's going to look like. As far as partnering with people, we are always looking to partner with individuals and other agencies. I met yesterday with the U of A's architecture program, because they are looking at building tiny homes and how can their graduate students help address the needs of these communities. And again, the funding for it. If it is a viable solution, it is an affordable solution to help not only just put people in housing, but to help end their homelessness and move them back into the tax-paying bracket, where they are now working with someone, contributing to society. That's the kind of program that appeals to everyone, regardless of political affiliation. So that's why I said we continue to monitor and essentially stay in front of the money. And I said it jokingly, but that's what I meant by that.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And Sandra Ayala, is she still here?
Yeah.
Hi. So you said if somebody referred from the Salvation Army and you give them good neighbor and they say no, where else do you go? I'm all about community togetherness. So if they don't want to go to Good Neighbor, let's refer them to, I'm guessing we're talking about down in Cochise. They have the option of going to the Bisbee Coalition to End Homelessness, or Tin Town, or any other resource. It's all about Good Neighbor. It doesn't have to be the solution. It is part of the solution for the whole of the county to end their homelessness. All right, I'm looking through to make sure I'm not missing any questions. All right, I think we cleared them all. Any last questions?
Thank you, Terrance, and thank you to your team. Amazing work.
Absolutely. I want to thank everyone for joining us. Again, my name is Terrance Watkins. I'm the Executive Director of Housing and Medical Respite Services. For DV services, I also put Jody White's direct information on here. And I wanted to remind everybody that every month in 2025, we will be having a different webinar schedule for CCS. In June, we have coming up Inclusion in Action, Serving the Deaf Community. And so you should absolutely tune in, see about all of the amazing different programs and stuff that we have going on at CCS. That I will stop sharing.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Great job, Terrance.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, everyone.